entities of the Backrooms. So if you don't know what the Backrooms is, it's basically a creepy internet creepypasta revolving around an alternate world where there are so comprised of random rooms that expand in millions of miles, and they come in many levels. And so entities are living creatures that inhabit those backrooms. And in this video, I'll be covering 5 of the different types of entities. So there are different types, and there's 5 that I'll be covering. So here we go. Hop in your beds, pull up your blanket, and let's pay off your sleep credit card. Alright, so here we go. So the first entity that we'll be covering are called Hounds. So Hounds are labeled as entity number 8. Hounds are hostile, canid entities which inhabit sparsely populated regions of the backrooms, particularly within damp and derelict levels. Despite exhibiting canid traits, hounds are genetically similar to humans, sharing multiple biologic attributes as well as critical thinking and the use of rudimentary tools, among other things. In addition, their unique belt is sought after by humorous groups due to being one of the only sources of leather in the entire backrooms, exhibiting behaviors comparable to that of a wild animal. Hounds are exceptionally aggressive to most forms of life, being fitted with a sharp row of teeth. They are quickly able to incapacitate prey with their powerful jaw strength. Their claws are typically ineffective in combat, being rolled dull as a result of clawing at their own face, even to the point of revealing the surrounding bone. Due to their erratic aggression and isolation within the backrooms, hounds tend to run out of energy fairly quickly, which, as a result, lead to a decrease in hunting and foraging amongst individuals. Despite their hominin origins, hounds processes slightly below human intelligence, being able to remember and mentally map their environment. They also appear to recognize faces and differentiate between species, with research suggesting that hounds may harbor resentment toward human life in particular. Similar to apes and other less intelligent primates, they are able to use tools such as sticks and rocks for foraging and self-cleaning, although with limited applications. Hounds are especially notable for their insatiable appetite, with many specimens adapting to draw energy from a variety of organic and inorganic substances. Whilst attacking prey, they typically resort to tearing off large chunks of fresh flesh as opposed to probably incapacitating their target, aiming to consume as much as possible. Hounds have an acute sense of hearing, further amplified from that of the canids, being able to hear up to 2 miles away with ease. A sensitive response to light, positive phototaxis, has been reported in many specimens, with hounds preferring to stay in areas with light sources, particularly in outside areas. Hounds share most biological traits with humans, as the process of interspecies transforming leaves a large portion of their DNA intact. As a result, they also developed canine traits, such as excellent hearing and hind legs, which makes them unable to stand upright. Hounds have thin, bony limbs and gleaming white eyes. White eyes. White eyes. White eyes. And which are essentially identifiable from a distance in dark areas. So if you see some like disformed human being with thin legs, with white eyes, you know that it's a hound. Hounds possess a massive, gaping mouth lined with several rows of teeth, usually tear and saw at both flesh and inorganic materials, being able to crack shells and bones with ease. Because of their forces, they are able to crack and smash through hard things. As the hind legs develop into paws upon transformation, they retain their hand structure on the front legs, though with a distant webbed shape akin to congenital syndicatal. It's a tough word I can't really pronounce. Hounds have a long row of black, scraggly hair on the back, making them easily identifiable from a distance and easily differentiable from a human. In order to survive against hounds, it is strongly advised that you have to keep your distance and slowly walk away from the entity while looking at it as one with wild animals, just like on Earth, labeled as the front rooms. If you get bitten, you have to pour some almond water into the wound, and it shows that it is especially effective in neutralizing a pathogen because some of the hounds carry infectious diseases. So if you do this method, there is only a 5-minute countdown from being bitten to pouring the almond water. So you got 5 minutes to find almond water or else you'll be gone. So now we're gonna move into a different type of entity. And the next entity that we're gonna cover are called Smilers. So, Smilers are labeled as Entity 3, and Smilers are another entity where they live mostly in dark areas of the backrooms. For example, a good level where Smilers can be present is level 6, and level 6 is a very, very dark area of the backrooms. This level has no light. And that's where you'd expect to see Smilers lurking in the corners. Smilers, bearing the scientific name Subridens tenebris bestia, are an intelligent, highly malevolent, and exceedingly dangerous species of spectral entity Tartan class, being distressingly common within regions of the backrooms with low levels of light. Although formal research on those free beings has been going on for decades on end, and documentation of them stretches back to prehistoric times with texts of non-human sapiens, much about the nature of these entities remains a mystery to this very day. Serving as one of the few apex predators in the twisted ecosystem of this realm, Smilers lack any natural predators due to their unique aggression and prominent anomalous capabilities, being one of the most dangerous non-individual entities recorded thus far. Many wonders and succumbing to the malevolence of these demons, their mangled corpses being strewn across the floor as a warning to future humans within this dimension. That being said, one thing is very well known about these beasts. Once you see a glowing face in the darkness, the next choices you make will be very, very crucial to your survival. Although Smilers are entirely amorphous, being able to shift their body mass to any form at will, they still have two documented organs, the Ardenti Risu and the Necrum Ignium. The latter making up the majority of a Smiler's body mass is an unidentified spectral substance which appears completely pitch black with a form best linked to fire. Conversely, the former is the luminescent substance which often forms the Smiler's iconic glowing eyes and teeth, serving both as a vector of intimidation and as a sensory organ used by entities to see and hear. Due to their shape-shifting capabilities, Smilers are capable of taking numerous forms, each serving their own purpose and physical properties. Humanoid or canine-like body plans tend to be common within instances, but other forms have included massive spider-like organisms, twisted birds flying high up in the skies of dark exterior levels, and more. Despite the various perils posed by them, their ability to phase to physical matter to bypass any barriers in their way, and their complete immunity to physical damage via their selective corporal ability. Smilers do have two distinctive weaknesses: light and fire. When their body comes into contact with light in the visual spectrum, from 400 to 700 nanometers of wavelength, they'll appear to wince in pain, the amount which increases based on the amount of light they are exposed to. This supernatural sensitivity to light can usually be used to repel the beings or evade their assault via a flashlight or staying in a lit room. But do take caution. Similarly to normal humans, some Smilers have higher amounts of pain tolerance and light tolerance than others, and thus they may pursue you even in the light. Additionally, a Smiler catches on fire, it will slowly begin to dissolve, decreasing its mass until it has been killed. No residual matter is left after this process. So now let's move on to the next entity, and it's called Skin Stealers. So Skin Stealers, labeled as entity number 10, they have the scientific name Homo capgras. They are a species of predatory beings with polymorphic capabilities, common in levels with significant human and or other same impressions. They have posed a notable threat to human civilization within the Backrooms. Skin Stealers are solo hunters, often employing regular use of suggestion and shape-shifting to lure out prey or groups of prey for consumption / assimilation. The population of Skin Stealers remains unknown. Each Skin Stealer possesses two forms in question: their disguise and their true form. Due to the preservation of much of the host's skin during the reproduction process, their disguise takes the appearance of their deceased host, albeit with some minor differences. Proportions are often changed slightly due to the consumption of all former internal organs, and although they inherit the memories of the victim, behavioral patterns can often seem visibly off. In contrast, their true form appears as a dark beige-colored, vaguely humanoid humanoid being with varying appearance, often instances of the entity from sharp appendages or claws to inflict maximum damage on any victim. However, this comes with a disadvantage. Any newly shifted body mass is unstable and fragile for a period of time, allowing any attacker to cause extreme injury while aiming at these body parts. While externally skin stealers look alike to wanderers, autopsy reports have shown that the internals of the entities are vastly different. Skin stealers do not possess a standard digestive or respiratory system. These light movements associated with breathing, swallowing, and chewing are all controlled by a secondary muscular system that acts more as a collective organ to simulate the behavior. The heart of the entity remains at the same place as most humans, the left side of the sternum. These hearts also behave no differently to a human heart and have shown to be effective against incapacitating a skin stealer if the need arises. The blood vessels, amongst the rest of the vascular system, do not change either. To protect the organs and muscles, skin stealers have developed a denser and tougher type of skin. Through large quantities of retinol, the entire body of a skin stealer can change the amount of retinol depending on environmental factors and fitting into its host, such as adding more skin to replace arm muscles, or adding extra around the legs to protect against hostile aquatic life. Skin stealers are stealthy and cunning predators, although humans and facelings are notable prey to them. They most commonly turn to other entities as a form of sustenance due to their much greater frequency. When hunting an entity, skin stealers would wander around a level disguised as a human, seeking to lure in entities attempting to predate on a human. When an entity gives chase, the skin stealer will morph into its true form, seeking to take the entity by surprise and kill it swiftly. After their prey is expired, the skin stealer will consume it afterwards, shifting back to its human disguise. And so now we're going to move on to the fourth entity of the Backrooms. Well, not the fourth, because they're all labeled differently. They're not in order. Like the ID of the entity is not the same as the ones I covered in order. So let's go with the Facelings. That's what we're going to cover right now. And it is labeled as Entity 9. Facelings, the vacant-faced or scientifically named Homo corruptum, are a species of humanoid beings that inhabit a vast majority of the Backrooms levels. As mentioned, their appearance mimics those of humanoids. However, they feature several unsettling and unorthodox abnormalities on their bodies which make them different from normal humans. Many wanderers insist that they resemble normal humans enough from afar, if viewed from a long distance. If certain parts of their body are concealed or they are oriented in a certain way, closing the distance will reveal an uncanny, and sometimes horrifying presentation of the Facelings, with their most notable features being the complete lack of any facial features. If you can think of any resemblance or like an equivalent, if you know Slender Man, that's what they could look like. Slenderman is like a guy, a fictional guy, that's tall and has no facial features. Basically just outlines. Wanderers note that most facelings have a mannequin and artificial intelligence-like appearance, or that they look computer or AI generated, giving them an eerie and unrealistic appearance. Roughly 40% of facelings feature this fake-like appearance. This strange appearance is not as noticeable until one is around 12 feet away from the faceling in question. Explorers have described the absence of some or all of a faceling's facial features as a decent to downright terrible Photoshop job using the delete, smear, and slash or blur tool. The resulting look favors a piece of flesh stretched over the skull or gives the being a bubble-head appearance. While facelings lack some facial features, they are said to be able to see as well as humans. Some theorize that facelings have invisible facial features, or that they are located somewhere within the body as opposed to in the face, though there is no proof to validate these claims. Instead of lacking all of the facial features, many facelings have one or two facial features and lack the rest. Additionally, some facelings are able to blank their face at will. These types of facelings have been named false facelings, as they can choose whether to appear as a faceling or a human being. Facelings are widely regarded as the entities which feature the most behavioral and biological similarities to human beings. They can be frequently observed doing typical human abilities such as jogging, doing yoga, driving cars, cleaning, etc. So we have covered 4 out of 5 entities. Again, they're not in order in terms of the ID identification. Like the facelings that I covered are labeled as Entity 9. So I just choose the ones that I think are the very common entities that one might experience of the backrooms. But anyways, we're gonna move on to the last entity. And the last entity that we'll be covering are called Deathmoths. Deathmoths. And they are labeled as entity number 4. So Deathmoths are entities that inhabit the great majority of the backrooms levels, resembling the moths you see on Earth, or most labeled or most known in the backrooms, the front rooms. Deathmoths are truly colossal creatures, boasting a large wingspan that measures approximately 1.5 meters. The configuration of their wings is highly irregular, presenting a jagged appearance along the edges. The surface of the wings is enveloped by a thick layer of gray air, which is not only coarse but also exceptionally hard. The head of Deathmoths is comparatively diminutive and stands in stark disproportion to its substantial body. Positioned at the extremity of the head are a pair of protruding compound eyes, each composed of thousands of minute eye surfaces that exhibit a profound black correlation, just like eyes of bugs and wasps and bees. Situated between the compound eyes is a sharp and slender mouth part, resembling a syringe in shape, and possess the capability to effortlessly puncture the skin of its prey. Deathmoths possesses a broad and robust chest that provides crucial support for its massive wings and weighty body. The surface of the thorax, which is the middle part of the Deathmoth is adorned with a hard carapace, fusing a dark brown hue and marked with irregular textures and spots. Its abdomen is round and hypertrophied, segmented in nature. At the junctions between each segment, there exists a thin membrane endowing the abdomen with a degree of flexibility during movement. The surface of the abdomen is also covered with gray hairs, though they are more fine and supple in comparison to the hairs on the wings. At the extremity of the abdomen are a pair of slender tail whiskers, the tips of which they are as sharp as needles. Its legs are short and stocky, featuring sharp spikes at the joints. The surface of the legs is enveloped by a hard cuticle, which is capable of furnishing adequate support and protection during walking and climbing activities. Deathmoths hunt for energy and nutrition, which is the main reason they prey humans. It has been observed that deathmoths hunt facelings, skin stealers, and dullers, which are another entity type that I didn't cover, for food. So dullers is another entity type. I might cover them in another video, but anyways. As with many other species, deathmoths have two genders, male and female. The females are the main hunters, neutralizing targets directly by brute force. Males, on the other hand, are typically smaller, around 3 to 5 times the size of a regular moth that you see on Earth, and are passive unless disturbed. And so, those are the 5 entities that I covered, the 5 different types of entities I covered in this video. There are many different species of types of entities in the backrooms, and these are just a handful of them. I hope you do enjoy this video. If you do like this video, please give this video a thumbs up by gently tapping the like button above the description below the video, but don't smash it or else you'll break it. And so I hope this video puts you to sleep, eases off your sleep debt, and finish off your balance of your sleep credit card. This video was a little bit of a challenge to make because I'm still going through this massive cold. I've been sick all week. It's not fun. And hopefully I'll get better and make more videos like this because I'd like to make y'all all fresh and content. And so, signing off. I'll be back another time in a few days, and I'll see you next time.